Sarah Mitchell stood frozen in the pharmacy aisle, her hands trembling as she held the small paper bag containing her fertility medications. The pharmacist's voice still echoed in her ears for moments before when he had loudly announced the price of her IVF drugs for everyone in line to hear. But it wasn't just the price that made her cheeks burn with embarrassment. It was what happened next that would change her life forever. The woman behind her in line had whispered loud enough for others to hear. Just adopt if you can't have kids naturally. Why put yourself through all this expense and drama? Some people are just meant to be childless. Sarah's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces as other customers turned to stare. She grabbed her medication and rushed toward the exit, tears streaming down her face, completely unaware that someone in that pharmacy was about to become the most important person in her fertility journey. Sarah had been trying to conceive for 4 years. She and her husband David had exhausted their savings on treatments, endured countless appointments, and weathered the storm of well-meaning but hurtful comments from family and friends. This was their third and final attempt at IVF. Their insurance had denied coverage, and they had borrowed money from David's parents just to afford this last chance at parenthood. As Sarah sat in her car in the parking lot, sobbing into her hands, she didn't notice a gentle tap on her passenger window. An elderly African-American woman with kind eyes and silver hair stood outside, holding a small piece of paper. Sarah hesitantly rolled down the window. "My name is Eleanor Washington, and I was in line behind you. I couldn't help but overhear what happened in there." The woman handed Sarah the paper with a warm smile. "I want you to have this." Sarah looked down at the paper and gasped. It was a check for $5,000 made out to her name. She looked up in shock, but Eleanor was already walking away toward an old blue sedan. Sarah fumbled out of her car and called after her. "Wait, please, I can't accept this. I don't even know you." Eleanor turned back with tears glistening in her eyes. "Honey, 40 years ago I stood in a pharmacy just like that one, holding fertility drugs I could barely afford, listening to strangers judge my pain. Nobody helped me then. I never did have my babies, but maybe I can help you have yours." Before Sarah could respond, Eleanor continued, "I worked as a nurse for 35 years. I saved every penny I could because I always hoped I'd find a way to help someone like me, someone who just needed a chance. You don't owe me anything except a promise to pay it forward someday when you can." Sarah's tears turned from sorrow to overwhelming gratitude. She wanted to hug this stranger who had just given her hope when she had none left. But Eleanor was already getting into her car, waving goodbye with a smile that radiated pure kindness. Over the following weeks, Sarah couldn't stop thinking about Eleanor's generosity. She tried calling the number Eleanor had written on the check, but it was disconnected. She went back to the pharmacy hoping to find her, but no one remembered seeing an elderly woman matching Eleanor's description. It was as if she had appeared exactly when Sarah needed her most. The IVF treatment proceeded better than any of their previous attempts. Sarah's body responded well to the medications, and the embryo transfer was successful. When she and David saw their baby's heartbeat on the ultrasound screen 8 weeks later, Sarah knew she had to find Eleanor to share the miracle. She contacted the local nursing association and discovered that Eleanor Washington had retired from City General Hospital 2 years earlier. After some detective work, Sarah found Eleanor's address and showed up at her modest apartment with a bouquet of sunflowers and the ultrasound photo. Eleanor opened the door and immediately broke into tears when she saw Sarah's growing belly. "Oh, my sweet girl, look at you. Look at this blessing." They sat together in Eleanor's small living room, surrounded by photos of the hundreds of babies Eleanor had helped deliver throughout her nursing career. Eleanor explained that she had never married after her fertility struggles, but had found purpose in helping other women bring their babies into the world. "You gave me more than money," Sarah told her. "You gave me hope when I thought I had none left. You showed me that strangers can become angels when we need them most." Eleanor smiled through her tears. "And you've given me something I thought I'd never have. You've made me a grandmother." From that day forward, Eleanor became part of Sarah and David's family. When baby Emma was born 6 months later, Eleanor was in the delivery room, tears streaming down her face as she witnessed the miracle she had helped create. Sarah placed the baby in Eleanor's arms, and for the first time in 40 years, Eleanor held a child she had always dreamed of having. But the story doesn't end there. True to her promise to Eleanor, Sarah established the Eleanor Washington Fertility Fund using money they saved by receiving Eleanor's help. The fund provides financial assistance to couples struggling with infertility who cannot afford treatment. In the 5 years since Emma's birth, the fund has helped 17 families welcome their own miracles. Eleanor, now known as Grandma to Emma and the adopted grandmother to all the families they've helped, volunteers at the fund's monthly support meetings. She shares her story with others who are walking the difficult path of infertility, reminding them that sometimes hope comes from the most unexpected places. Sarah often reflects on that horrible day in the pharmacy when she thought her dreams were ending. She realizes now that it was actually the beginning of something beautiful. One moment of cruelty from a stranger was transformed by one act of extraordinary kindness from another. Eleanor taught her that our greatest pain can become our greatest purpose when we choose to help others who are walking the same difficult road. The ripple effect of Eleanor's kindness continues to spread. Each family helped by the fund is asked to share their story and help others when they can. What started with one woman's generosity has grown into a community of support that spans across their entire city. This story reminds us that kindness has the power to change everything. Sometimes we encounter people who seem determined to dim our light, but there are always others ready to help it shine brighter. Eleanor could have walked past Sarah's pain that day, but she chose compassion instead. That single choice created a legacy of hope that continues to grow. When life feels overwhelming and the world seems unkind, remember Sarah and Eleanor. Remember that your act of kindness, no matter how small it might seem, could be the miracle someone desperately needs. We all have the power to be someone's Eleanor, to show up in their darkest moment and help them find their way back to hope. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to Pure Kindness Stories for more inspiring tales of human compassion. Share Sarah and Eleanor's story with someone who needs to be reminded that kindness still exists in this world. Because every time we share a story of hope, we plant seeds of kindness that can grow into miracles we may never see, but will always matter.